When we think of infrastructure projects, the commitment is that they will improve the life of the citizens of the city. Mumbai's mega metro plan promises stressed citizens hope of a faster travel route, which means less time spent in traffic and a shot at a healthier work-life balance. But all this comes at a cost. Thousands of trees are being felled, open spaces captured for stations, and Mumbai's green lung, RA, and its inhabitants will have to make space for even something like a car shed. While some sacrifices are required for a project like this, are all of them really necessary? That brings us to the three key questions that we are tackling on Urban Reality today. We're asking today, is the Mumbai Metro Phase 3 that is currently being built a poorly designed project? Second, can a polluted and expanding city like Mumbai afford this assault on its natural environment? If global cities can build mega infrastructure without harming the natural environment, why can't we? And is there any compensation ever enough for this kind of a loss? Lastly, should projects like these have a direct impact on citizen life, be a 50-50 partnership or joint venture where all decisions are taken by the administration and citizenry together in the larger interest of the city? Let me introduce my panelists today. We have with us Sayli Mankikar Research Fellow, Observer Research Foundation, that's ORF. We also have with us Kalhan Mattoo, architect and urban planner, and Sudhir Badami, who's a transport analyst. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Mr. Badami, first of all, I think before we got into the show, we got into a little bit of an argument whether a metro is even needed to ease out the traffic congestion in Mumbai. What else could have been done? Or is it a moot question right now when the work has already begun and all plans sanctioned?
No, nothing against metro per se. What is required, I'll just give you some figures because they are important. The north-south traffic, human traffic, is about 360,000 persons per hour in the railway. And railway capacity is, it has reached 180,000, and it cannot increase significantly for many, many years the way it is going on. There's no scope of reducing the time gap between two trains.
So the traffic is almost three times of the capacity.
So it's much, much more, and that's why we have about now 3,600 people getting killed every year on the railways. Okay, we need to have about 180,000 persons per hour, or say 2 lakh persons per hour capacity public transport to support Mumbai's transportation.
Right.
Now, when I say this, it means that you travel in comfort, not only in speed, but also in comfort and reasonable comfort. It's not something that luxurious comfort of a car or something like that, but reasonable. There's enough elbow room in the crowd. Like you tend to have in Delhi Metro, you still have elbow room there even during peak period.
Okay, so what's the point? Yes.
There is scheme which has been done various places in the world, starting with Bogota, where they have reached 45,000 persons per hour per direction on one route. Now, we can easily reach that kind of figure, or that is what should be the aspiration, and we need 4 such routes to achieve 180,000 persons per hour. Or you have 5 routes of 36,000 persons per hour, or 6 routes of 30,000, or any combination that you can think of. It's a matter of design and the local situation that you have. Not every road can provide that kind of throughput.
So what is the solution, sir? Metro or no metro?
No, it's not a question of metro or no metro. Question is, we need to have that, and we can provide BRTS in these places. Now, you have BRTS. There are various people in India who say that BRT is a failure. I would say, no, we have not tried it sincerely anywhere. It needs to be designed. It can't be... Okay.
So your point is that we could have fulfilled this need for easing out traffic and, you know, giving better transport infrastructure through BRTS.
At 1/20th the cost of the metro.
Metro. All right.
I will leave it here.
Do you agree with that?
No, I don't.
Really? Where is the road to? I mean, for BRTS, I know I've come from a failed experiment of BRTS. Every day I have travelled from home on that BRTS, which has now been made redundant because it never worked in New Delhi.
That's because
There's so much of road which was taken up. No, anyway, metro or no metro?
I think
I mean, it's really.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
I think it's a tough one to be discussing today, but the point has been raised.
I welcome another view on the table. But the point is that we should have had a metro system long back, probably 30 years back.
Correct.
For the needs of the city.
Every infrastructure in India is 30 years too late.
And I'll just respond with a couple of things. One is that BRT is not that unqualified success that that's been made out to be. It has its shares of failures, and in a brownfield city intervention like Mumbai, it gets hugely complex to implement something like that.
Okay.
We need to have a mass transportation system which is modern, which is new, which is efficient, and even if it costs a buck more, it's absolutely worth it.
If you talk about a buck more,
okay,
it is 20 bucks more, please, times.
All right.
Let's please understand
Mr. Badami, that's, I think, let's move this discussion forward because it is about the metro today. We get your point that there could have been another system which could have been planned at a much reasonable cost. Sayli, I'm going to come to you. The biggest disengagement that the citizens feel with Mumbai Metro is the urban biodiversity, which is going to get lost, the trees which are getting felled. Numbers are 5,000. Metro says, well, we are trying to save. We've actually cut 1,200 less. And that's the biggest grouse?
Well, I have a view here. Now, this is a typical debate between development vis-a-vis environment.
Correct.
I saw the trees being felled, you know, at the South Bombay, the main road near Churchgate.
When things start happening in South Bombay is when everybody gets up.
You saw people clinging to the trees, and it was really horrific. I mean, I use that road every day. So yes, it is very bad that it is happening. However, we have to have some. So I agree with you. Citizen engagement has to be more, and from stage one, which was clearly lacking here. We have to have proper experts in place who will look at the transplantation and different things. The Metro Rail Corporation did engage with citizens. They did form a committee with citizens, you know, to kind of monitor this transplanting, etc. But there has been a deficit in trust because of several steps taken by the MMRCL.
Tell us why.
So this is because there is always a fear. I think this is very classic, where authorities have a fear that, and especially in a vibrant city like Mumbai, where people are so vocal about everything that happens. Like open spaces is one of the biggest debates that we have in Mumbai. So the vocal, they are so vocal that even in the case of the Sea Link, you know, it was derailed by several years because of environmentalists who put forward a certain clause, you know, which was kind of, so in a similar way, they are very scared that loud noises on environment can hamper the project. So that's clearly the reason there is disengagement. And this is completely not right.
Do you agree there's disengagement? Here's I'm going to, because we do not have, all of us seem to be veering towards one argument. Let me play the devil's advocate here. I have taken some excerpts from the Chief Executive, Ashwini Bhide's interview in The Hindu. She says, imagine how much richer environmentally the city could be in 5 years when nearly 200 kilometers of metro lines are operational. Mr. Badami, your argument to that?
That is perfectly all right. She has her views.
But it's not a wrong view.
It's not a wrong view.
It is clean energy. I mean, metros are clean.
But is it
clean transport?
But is it going to reduce the use of personal transport? That's one question. Then what is actually the environmental cost of, not in terms of felling of trees, but in terms of absolute environmental, what you call the carbon footprint of constructing these with so much cement and concrete and water and so many other things that goes into construction itself.
Right.
When you look at all this, I think on the whole, we are on the negative.
Okay.
And that's
so you're saying if you look at the balance sheet of a city and you look at the urban diversity, you look at the infrastructure need, and you're doing a tight rope walk between development and environment, we are in the deficit. Kalhan, Mattoo, with Mumbai Metro Phase 3, are we in the deficit, really? I mean, can these trees not be replanted and the same green open spaces be created?
I think we're getting the hierarchy of needs completely wrong here.
Okay.
The first things first. If you're losing 8 people per day on the trains, it's my first problem to deal with. Second problem, if I have a nice piece of land which I want to preserve, there are multiple ways to look at it. But, you know, generally, I feel, as she rightly pointed, this has become a debate between progress and development on one side and preservation on the side. That being the case, I think we really need to learn how to make progress happen keeping our sanity in place. I think we are completely losing focus here. The needs of the city are much different, are much larger than what they're being projected right now. The fact that 65% of the city lives in slums still is not apparent to anyone. The fact that most of the people are being transported in such subhuman conditions is not a cause of concern, but we are really concerned about those few trees, which we must be, but I don't understand how that has become the key issue here. That ought to be one of the side conversations, not the main conversation of this project.
But that is the main conversation. I think disappearing open spaces for Observer Research Foundation has always been a big concern, and I think that's very closely related to the felling of trees.
Yes, I do agree, but when it comes to public projects, around the world, if you see mega projects, you do lose out on some. So how do you compensate that? And when you mention ORF, our fight is against the spaces which are existing but have been taken away by politicians. Even in the case of RA, what about the land which has been encroached by residential projects? What about the land which is, encroached by slums?
And that is the reason then I have to come back to asking you the question, why then the metro is becoming such a big target? Kalhan, would you want to answer that? If you're saying Mumbai's problems are larger, then why is Mumbai Metro attracting so much of flack?
I think probably there's nothing else happening.
Is that it, Mr. Badami? We should wrap up the debate right now. Essentially, we're done. This is needed,
Manisha,
but yes.
There's one point which we talked about environment and trees. Let me come to RA specifically.
Yes.
We are making a big thing out of the 30 hectares of land, 30 or 33 hectares for the car shed. It comes out of the fear that the remaining, I think there's 130 hectares of land is going for botanical garden and zoo, and the remaining portion is supposed to be green, and there's a fear that that will be taken away by hawks, the land hawks, to develop as building projects. So that is the fear.
These are future fears.
No, not future. That's why they don't want this 30 hectares to be used.
All right. Okay, here's my question. The 5,000 number which keeps floating around with Metro officials saying the number is less. Are we, as a panel here, confident that they will be able to replant all those? They've taken on the mandate to replant. Will they do it? Is it possible? Is it feasible? 83% in Delhi Metro have survived. Will they survive?
Honestly, the way government works, there's a good chance a lot of them might die, but it's still worth it.
It's still worth it?
Let me put it this way. One aspect.
Okay.
I have been a student at IIT Bombay in the 70s, 60s and 70s, early. It was a barren land. Today, if you go there, you'll say, what is Mr. Badami talking about barren land? It's a forest.
Correct.
That has happened mainly because there's an institution there which nurtured planting trees, and it has grown into a forest. Despite the fact that the population there has increased threefold and many departments have come up with buildings there.
Okay, so what's the point?
There is a possibility that we can do the same kind of thing in RA to ensure that we can preserve the greenery there.
So we should fight for that. Is that the thing that we should keep?
There should.
All right, let's take a break here. I think we've exceeded a little bit of our time, but we will come back. There are also a couple of other issues on, the reason why we're not hearing any clear answers are because there is no right or wrong to it. There's no black and white. But it's important for us to keep raising the questions around urban diversity and Mumbai losing its green spaces. So we'll come back, but also look at one other critical aspect of Mumbai Metro, the planning. Did we really need to extend it by the extra kilometers that we have to take it to all the way to Andheri, closer to airport? Because that's also being questioned by a lot of urban planners. Stay with us.